Present the output of our code. The members of our group are Abraham Micaela Joan, Altaveras Darnis, Balagot Jose Miguel, Pelosis Eric Glenn, Capasio Denzel Josh, Diaz Aaron J, Natanawan Lucky, San Jose Claren Lois, Solis Kim Altea, and Janet Trinidad.
So for our main Java frame, we used a JText field, a JPassword, and a checkbox for the show password and JButton for the admin user button and for the login button. We set a JText field for the text username and for the text password. After that, we put a J checkbox to show the password. Then we put a J button for the login. We have two set of login category. One is for the admin and one for the user. We put a we put a BTN identifier to identify if the user is a admin or a user. For the admin login, we use a if else situation. If the username is equal to admin and password to admin, it will automatically set a J option show message dialog successfully login as admin. Or else if the username or password is incorrect, it will put a J option show message dialog wrong username or password. And for the user login, same as the admin login, if the password and the username is correct, it will automatically show a message dialog successfully login as user. And else if the password or the username is wrong, it will show a message dialog wrong username or password. And this is the design in our mainframe. And that's it.
Hi, I'm John Lloyd Trinidad and I am here to explain to you the view frame. So for the view frame, we have here the we have here four tab panels. So first is account panel, categories panel, books panel, and transaction panel. So for as you can see, four of the panels have each individual tables. So first is account panels. What we can see in account panels is the usernames of the user and the passwords. And next one is the categories. What we can see is all the possible and available categories of the books that you can borrow and return. And for the books, we can see the categories, the book title, and the quantity of the books. And here in transaction, we can see um, the transaction between, for example, here in the username, JM, and the date it was borrowed, the books that has been borrowed, and the action it's borrowed. So in the source code, um, we we set we set a string array variable header that contains ID, username, date, book 1, book 2, book 3, and action as the column identifiers of the TBL transaction. And here uh, in the first panel, which is the account pane, um, we set it has a table in it which is TBL accounts, and we set its value as account data info that we will be getting from the account frame. Same as in the second panel, which is category panel, and it has a table which is TBL categories, and we set its values as category data info that we will be getting in the category frame. And the third one is the book panel. It has a table which is TBL books and has the value of book data info that we were getting from the book frame. All the data info are um, table models from a specific frame. And lastly is the um, last panel, which is the transaction panel, and it's a table of table transaction and the value of transaction data info that we'll be getting from the transaction frame. And as I say earlier, that its column identifiers are set as header, the string variable in the top.
I am Kimaltea Solis, here to explain the user update account frame. Here in user update account, it allows the user to change its current account to something new. For the source code, every time the user clicks the save button, it will execute a specific action. It is because we set an action listener. First, we declare an int row count that is equals to account frame that account data info that get row count. This means that we will be getting the row count of the account data info from the account frame. Here, we declared an int row with an initial value of 0. We also use for loop for getting data of current account of the user. If int I is equals to 0, then I is less than row count, then int I will be incremented. If text username is equals to the string value of account data that get value at I and 1 that we will be getting from account frame, then row will be equals to I. Lastly, we will be setting the value of the account data info using txt username that get text. Same with the txt password. A J option pane will appear informing the user that the account has been updated and the frame will be disposed using the dispose method.
User main. Human-computer interaction through typing its username and password. Setting its public and private class to run the user main. The menu items are the simple labeled menu item. The menu bar used to display menu bar on the window or frame. It can have several menus. This separator used to create a dividing line in between two components. This separator, like example, are book categories and book and its add, update, and delete categories. Having add action listener handles all action events such as when a user clicks a component or etc. It is used for J buttons. A J option pane that we use it to have a simple dialog box that either provide an information like a frame is already open in our Java project. It can be a simple output. LBL new label for placing text in a panel. It is used to display a single line of read-only text label. J label set as welcome with the proper size and fonts content pane of LBL username.
So, good day everyone. So now I'm here to explain what's in the transaction frame. First, I will show what the transaction frame does. So you can see it has a table. The first column is the ID numbers of the user. Next to it is the user's name. And the third column is the date, to know what exactly the day and time it happened. And the next three columns here will put what books the users borrowed. Then the last one is the action, wherein it states what the user transaction entered. If the user has borrowed or returned a book. Then let's move on to the source scope. First is we set string array variable. It contains ID, user's name, date, book 1, book 2, book 3, and action. To add this, as specified window listener to receive events from window, and to generate object when it is open and closed by the user or when focused to transfer into or out of the window. Then, to make it visible in the frame itself, it is public static default table model as transaction data info. To make it visible in the user's frame, it is public name as transaction, and last, it is default close operation. We only used this pose on close.
So, hi, I'm Eric Lindy Berlos is tackling a categories frame. In the very first, we create a new Java frame and name it into category frame. We set the JPanel into private and the others JText field. JTable, JLabel, JButton are set in public static void to call them where we want them to call. We apply the string header so that they can identify which is ID and category. And this is the category data info by coding of the all table model so that we can see below the ID and category which are listed 1 to 12. Then, in category frame, we also set title of categories by add window listener of window adapter, window event E, and we'll back to the admin main, click admin main is create admin dot is update and admin dot main is delete. Also, in the basic components and their functions are we set default close operation in this dispose on close and set location to none and layout none. We apply label categories with the code that set foreground content pane that add to text categories. Also the ID label, we add content pane that add to scroll the page. In category table, we add mouse listener to be clickable. And to get the value in ID label, we set text to table category that get value up to selected row 0 to string. And to get the value in text category, we set the same code but in selected row 1 to string. In the bottom cell, we add action listener, action perform. If admin is create equals to, else if admin that is update equals to, else if admin that is delete equals to. In the bottom console, we add action listener and in the create we set string category equals text categories that get text. We use J option pane show message dialog to alert the incomplete fill up of forms. In category data of label ID, we set to 0, while in text categories, we set to 1. Category data info that add row to category data. And we also add show message dialog to alert the record is saved when it's saved.
Hi, good day. I'm Aaron J. Diaz. I will discussing book frame. In this static here in the category, the available category is fantasy, historical romance, and medicine, story, sports, comedy, arts and literature, foods and news. In this public static default table are available borrowable books. At the menu table is 3 containers. First, you can create and then update, and the last delete. And this table box is for here are the booklets available in the book table. The add of get a value for to your book or to create a new box for getting nice to the book. Here is the keyboard for the create. For the create is get the book of your choose of book and add to the table from category for the user, and in this update record for the can update for the so that if you go wrong can you change it, and for delete the book's record and delete the book's record. For the delete response is J option confirm for others to delete the record, and J message context is select record successfully delete.
I am Clara Lois Arsenason. I am here to explain to you the borrowing process in the system. First, you just click the book and then click add and borrow. So now it's already borrowed. You can also click three books. One, add, second, add, third book, you can also add it and then click borrow again. And then now it's okay. If you want to see the transaction, just go to the account and click transaction. And as you can see, you can now see the transaction that you've already made.
Hi, my name is Samuel Di Balagot and I will explain to you the admin main. First, we declare integer variable name click for the frame limiter. Second, we declare a 3 integer variable name account ID, category ID, and book ID for the ID number. Third, we declare a boolean variable named is create, is update, and is delete. First, we add the action listener on the JMenu item named logout. So if the user click it, there will be a confirm dialog will show, are you sure to log out? And if the user click yes, the current frame will be disposed and the main frame will be appear. Second, we add the action listener to JMenu item add so that if the user click it, the account frame will be visible and the corresponding text will be create and the button will be create. And the text, and you can type it. We also add the action listener for the update JMenu item so that if the user want to update something, they can click it the table and select the text they want to update. Third, we add a action listener to JMenu item delete so that if the user want to delete something, she can choose cross the table and delete the selected text. We also add a action listener to the add JMenu item of book category so that if the user click it, the view frame will be appear and so that they can create a new categories. Same as the update. If they want to update something, they just click it and the following will be updated. Same as the delete JMenu item, if they want something to delete from the categories, they just click it and select the something that they want to delete from the table. Also on books, if they want to update something from the book frame or create something, they just click it and enter the text they want and it will be created. Same as on the update, they want to update something, they just click it and the text will be visible here. Same as the delete, if they want to delete something, they just select it from the table and the delete will be occur. That is the admin frame. And this is the following code.
Hey, my name is Denzel Bishopar. I'm here to present you the output of our code in accounting. First, we go to this menu item and click add. So once you click the add button there, it will show you this frame. This frame will show you that there is a record inside the table. It will that has been created a new row and will also indicate a new ID number. In this section, we use the JText field on where the user can type any key as well. In this below surface, it has the same figure but they have their differences. At this point, we use the JPassword field so it will hide the user details. So furthermore, let's talk about the buttons. In this create button, as you can see in this where my cursor pointing at, this create button will create what has been input in this JText field and password field. It will directly show in the list of table here if you have clicked the create button. So now let's move to the cancel button. In this cancel button, it will simplify cancel the operation and it will also inform you that the operation is completely closed. Let's try it. So as you can see, it informs the user that the operation is completely closed. So let's move now in this update menu. as you can see, once I click that, it will just as the same as we have seen before in what I have previously shown, but they have their differences. So we're just going to talk about this update button. So once you have clicked, so at first you won't be able to click this update button, but once you have clicked a specific row, it will be highlighted and it will directly input to the J text field and J password field. And at this point, you will be able to edit now the selected row. After you edit the selected row, you can now press the update button. So this button will notify you if the selected row has been updated. Let's try it. So we will going to change the password. Let's see if it's gonna work. So the selected row is updated. As you see, it notifies the user if the selected row, if the update button is already updated. So let's move now in the delete button. So now for the last one, delete button, this button will allow the user to delete the selected row inside the table. And once you have deleted the selected row, it will indicate you that the selected row was successfully deleted. So let's try it. So once I have clicked the delete button, there will be a confirmation message if you want to delete this row. Let's try it. So once you have clicked that, the selected row will be deleted. So let's move now to the codes. So as you can see, this is the code that we use in account frame. So as you can see, we use the default. We use this user as the default in the table. I just add a menu user earlier. So let's move now to the. So as you can see, this is the action performed of the 3 selected menu items. So as you can see, this is the create, update, and delete button. So this will be the three main button in the account frame.
We declared an int variable selected row that is equals to tbl borrow that get selected row. If the user have selected a specific row in a table, the get selected row identifies which row has been selected. So next one is int row count is equals to book frame the tbl book that get row count. We set a string variable books is that it's equals to book frame the tbl book that get value at selected row and column 2 that to string. It's the same as the 3 other string, which is book number 1, book number 2, and book number 3. And we use a for loop, which is int row is equals to 0, then row is less than to row count, then row will be incremented. So we declared a int variable quantity that is equal to integer that parse int book frame the tbl book that get value, which is row, and specific column, which is 3 to string. So if book 1 is equals to books, then quantity will be incremented. Also book frame that book data info that set value at quantity, row, and 3. Same as the book 2, which is if book 2 is equals to books, then quantity will be also incremented. And book frame that book data info set value at quantity, row, and 3. Also if the book 3 that is equals to books, also quantity will be incremented. And for the last is book frame that book data info that set value at will be equals to quantity, row, and 3. Lastly, we set an object transaction data is equals to new object with a size of 7. Here we can see it starts from 0 because all as you know, array are always starting with 0. So first is borrow frame.id. Transaction data second is main.username b, and same as the other other values, which is date.format now, book 1, book 2, book 3, and return. So transaction frame, the transaction data info that add row transaction data. So all the values that are collected from the transaction data will be put in the transaction data info in the transaction frame. And borrow frame.id will be incremented, and borrow data info that remove row select row. So selected row will be removed in the borrow data info. That's all.